Welcome to ASP Stuff Radio, special episode before the new year, 2016. It's me, Albert Joseph Felice III. Today is December 29th.
It's getting real late in the year, isn't it?
What day is it? What time is it? 9:12.
Late at night, too. Late night episode.
Stephen Felice is with me in Temecula Studios. In person. Paul's not with us, unfortunately. He had to go back to San Diego and work.
Paul doesn't really like to work.
Nobody does.
But he's got to do it.
Gotta do what you gotta do. What you gotta do. What you gotta do.
So what's the occasion for this special episode?
We're going to play several philosophy games. Moral philosophy games. I'm going to set up a thought experiment, and you are going to do your best to tackle them with your brilliant brain.
So, have you already tackled all these dilemmas?
I tackle these with my students. We wrestle them. So, are you ready?
Ready to go.
Ready as can be?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the first one. I'll go ahead and set up the situation. All right, this one's called the organ donor. Imagine that 5 patients in a hospital will soon die without an organ transplant. The first 2 patients need a kidney, the third patient needs a heart, one needs a liver, and the other one needs a pancreas. Luckily, there's a healthy patient for a standard checkup procedure. It turns out that his tissue is compatible with the other 5 patients. Moreover, the healthy patient is a mean piece of shit asshole philosophy professor who has no living relatives, and if he does, they all don't like him. They hate his fucking guts. Assuming that you're the doctor of the healthy patient, and no one would know about it, should you kill the ruthless philosophy professor in order to donate the organs for transplants? There would be happiness created by every sick patient who needs the organs, their family and friends, and the students of the mean philosophy professor would also be happy. Now, the question is, what should you do? Or what would you do in this situation?
Now, are there any right or wrong answers here?
No.
So only you would know what's going to actually happen. That's what it says.
Right.
The doctor.
You and only you, nobody else, would find out.
Okay.
Although maybe the patients might ask you, hey, who's the person that I should thank?
They might after they survive. Are they in comas right now?
They are on the brink of death.
So you have only a few minutes to make a decision.
Right. Within an hour. You have an hour to make a decision. Now, would you consider performing the surgery a morally right act?
Performing the surgery on the healthy patient? No. Yeah. I need an excuse to open up this healthy person.
Well, you're going to save 5 lives.
Okay, well, could I ask the healthy guy, hey, you're a pretty scumbag philosophy professor that, hasn't really helped. Is that what the paragraph said, the intro?
Right.
And,
he's a scumbag. Nobody loves him.
Nobody loves him, doesn't have any family, no pets, no kids.
No pets, nothing. All he does is read philosophy books all day. And he's an asshole to his students and everyone else.
So they don't learn anything from him?
Not much. He's a horrible professor.
So it's horrible. Now, I would start by maybe asking him, hey, you are a horrible person. So what do you think? Can you help out these 5 individuals?
But I don't want to die. And why should I fucking help these fucking 5 people? Who the fuck cares? I just came in to get my goddamn blood pressure checked.
You just getting your blood pressure checked? Okay.
Yeah. So why you have to kill me? What right do you have to end my life just to save 5 people?
Well, it'd be utilitarian. It'd be for the greater good of society. Have you studied, is it Hume?
Why, I'm a philosophy professor. I know what utilitarianism is.
So who's this utilitarian guy?
John Stuart Mill is a known advocate, although Jeremy Bentham was the founding figure of this particular moral theory, although it has its roots in ancient Greek philosophy as well.
So this professor knows about Bentham?
Yes, the professor knows quite a bit. Now, you could perform the Felicity calculus and try to figure out the cost-benefit analysis. So
there's actual point system or value system.
Yeah, you can measure the quantitative and qualitative aspects.
So, Mr. Philosopher, what do you think about that?
Well, we have 5 healthy patients. They will be happy. And then you have the friends of those 5 patients and the friends of those friends and family members and so on and so forth. And society
philosopher would probably say, hey, I think that's... I'm not living for much here. I think I would go ahead and make the sacrifice.
So you think the philosopher would say, well, I have no choice but, to succumb to the theories of John Stuart Mill and utilitarianism and go ahead, cut me open.
Possibly, but then there could be the pessimistic, evil philosopher.
Right. Now, now you have to keep in mind, we have to take in the net total happiness and pain. So what if the philosophy professor experienced genuine, intense anguish, pain, misery, and suffering from, the thought of having to be murdered to help save these 5 people?
From just the thought. And I know this as his valued doctor, that he would be suffering all this pain.
Mm-hmm.
But again... So, I think it would depend on, the type of person he is, I guess, possibly.
You mean the philosophy professor?
Yeah,
what if he was a nice guy,
and he's going to be going through a lot of pain? No, probably not, I guess.
Okay, so you think that there's something more valuable to, in this situation, morality than, say, maximizing or promoting or increasing happiness for the 5 people? There's something more to morality than just...
Well, you got to value a human life.
Okay. Now any life? Because what if it was an ex-convict or a pedophile?
Again, that was where we started, right? So it's possible that this is the ex-convict and he does deserve to die to a certain point.
Okay.
If, say we were to put him on trial and decide that, where there's states that allow the death penalty, we decide, we should put him to death, I guess.
Right. And then a Christian, like we were talking earlier before, you said that.
So if I was a stout Christian, I would say every life needs to be valued, even a convict, a murderer, rapist, whatever. So we can't trade one life for 5 other lives, and it would be part of God's master plan. The plan involved having 5 patients that are, I guess, they're terminally ill,
right?
Unless they get these organs. So that was part of the whole plan. So who are we to intervene on what the greater plan is? Because that's 5 people, and this is 1 convict. But there's a lot more people in society.
Mm-hmm. So you don't think the commandment, thou shalt not kill, bears any weight in this situation? This, like the absolute...
right, yeah. Yeah, for the stout Christian.
Mm-hmm.
But if, say, the doctor looked at it another way, and we wanted to benefit
utilitarianism?
Yeah. And we want to benefit the greater good. We could. I think, sure, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's trade 1 for 5. And you could do it pretty easily as a doctor. I think this might happen in real life. We could say, hey, Mr. Philosopher, convict, you're here for a blood test, right? Well, I just took your test and it looks like you are at risk. for stage 5 cancer right now, and that's what my scans show, and we got to operate right away.
And if you refuse to, we're gonna kill you anyway.
No, I would be sly about it.
Okay.
So let's do this.
So you would probably go about it in a more altruistic manner.
Yeah.
You would probably try to calm him down, make reason with him, and try to
We'd fool him.
Fool him. Okay, deceive him.
We'd deceive him, right? We'd say, hey, and then we just slightly there'd be an error in operation.
Now, do you think there's anything? So there's this moral principle established by Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, and he says that you should never use another human being strictly as a means to an end, right? Just as a instrumental value. So in this case, would you be strictly using this healthy patient only as a means to an end?
Means to
saving these 5.
Right.
Now, is there anything wrong with using people just as a means to an end?
Well, if it's for the greater good, I don't think there's anything wrong.
So you don't think there's anything wrong with that?
No.
No?
Well, I mean, what was his argument? Why in this situation, why would it be bad to
use someone as a means to an end? Because you according to Kant, you fail to recognize the person's humanity as a rational, autonomous being, and there's something inherently valuable to being a rational, autonomous agent. Now, to use someone only as a means to an end, you fail to treat them with respect. You don't see them as having intrinsic worth. You devalue their humanity, and there's something important in maintaining.
But don't you think
respect? Now,
society does that anyways?
Well,
it's just
not just as a means. Like, I mean, you use for example, you had to get your tires fixed, right? You had to replace each and every tire. And now you use the mechanic as a means to an end, but not just as a mere means to an end, right? You also showed some kind of mutual respect for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we paid the business to change the tires.
Right. So there's some compensation, some monetary compensation. So you wouldn't use them just as a means to an end, right?
No, to some extent they used me to means to an end to get their money, right?
But not just as a mere means to an end.
Well, it was a trade-off, right?
Okay.
So it wasn't a means to an end in that situation. But there was a means to an end if you were to kill this convict.
Right. Right, because you don't really care or respect that person's.
Yeah, but there could be the argument that he didn't really care or respect whatever crime he committed, or
right. So he lost that.
He had his opportunity, right? I guess.
Okay. All right. So let's move on with the second.
I mean, one other thing there. You did bring up, what if the philosopher was to experience excruciating pain?
Right. Now he's say it's, like we have to do this surgery or operation right away. No anesthetic to.
Because that's a little bit of a twist, and I think I'm not sure if it's two separate topics, but that would probably play into your decision. I would think about. Yeah,
well, you want to, for the utilitarian, you want to not only maximize happiness or increase or promote happiness for the people involved in the situation, but you also want to do your best to minimize the greatest amount of pain, right? So you could say, you could have the doctor do his or her best to make sure that there won't be as much pain involved in the surgery, right?
Yeah, but the philosopher was mentally suffering, right? He wasn't physical suffering.
From the operation, or?
Well, you said even if you were hinting at making sacrifice in his life, didn't you say that was going to cause pain, suffering?
Well, right. but it would be, we could say it's going to be temporary. It's not long lasting. It's short lived, as opposed to the 5 sick patients. If they receive the appropriate organ tissue, they survive. They live. They continue to live happy lives.
And then there's another question of their quality of life. Are they going to have a full, healthy recovery?
Right. That's a good question. Who are these 5 patients? What if these 5 patients are low lives? 5 low lives.
Right.
Insignificant peons that won't, living a level 0 existence. Now, and you could even say, what if that healthy patient was a brain surgeon or, the president of the United States, someone who's contributing to society as a whole and promoting happiness for thousands or millions of people, as opposed to these 5 ex-convicts, say.
Yeah.
So you could twist the variables around.
But the God-loving Christian, nice Christian would say every human life is equally valued.
Even if you're a dirtbag?
Even if there's a dirtbag.
Even if he burns the sacred text?
The sacred text. He was misguided when he did that.
Okay, so you say that every human life has value, intrinsic value.
Yeah.
Inherent worth.
Yeah. It wasn't his fault for burning that text, or he was just misguided when he did it.
And so therefore it would be wrong to to perform the surgery. Okay.
Right. That's a perspective. I mean,
that's just one perspective. Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right, let's look at the second moral dilemma. This is the excerpt from Virtues and Vices by Philippa Foot, well-known philosopher, moral philosopher. This is the trolley problem. An out-of-control trolley is running down a section of track. In its path are 5 workers who are unaware of the trolley, and if nothing is done, will be killed by it. Between the trolley and the 5 workers is a switch that would divert the trolley onto another section of track, saving the 5 workers. However, on the second track, or section of track, is a single worker who will be killed by the trolley if the switch is flipped. You are standing next to the switch. Should you flip it or do nothing? So what would you do in this situation?
I think this is probably the same type of argument, isn't it? Or problem? Dilemma? Real similar.
Somewhat. It's tweaked a little bit, right?
So in this situation, the train situation, I'm the switcher. In the original one with the surgeon, wasn't I the doctor or the surgeon?
Right. You're the doctor or the surgeon,
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So would I save the 5?
Mm-hmm. Would you let the train go towards the 5 workers?
And kill all 5?
Mm-hmm.
Or would I switch it and kill another different person?
Would you let it go towards the 5 people, or would you switch it and let it hit the 1 person?
Let it hit the 1 person.
Really? Why?
Because you'd save all the other 5. It's a utilitarian thing.
Okay.
Right? For the greater good, let's save the 5. Well, you're saying because the difference in the other scenario...
Well, there's also the okay.
The difference in the other scenario was it wasn't an ex-convict or this evil...
Right.
Philosophy professor.
We're just because you're far away, you don't really know. You just see workers. You just see say you're an employee, and you only see 5 of your workers. You can't see, oh, that's my best friend or anything or whatever. You just see 5 people, and then you see another single person on that track. So you don't really know who these people are.
Right.
They might be all 5. Yeah. Whatever horrible degenerates. But you just don't know.
Oh, okay. So maybe in the first scenario, I think it was said they were all really good people. So you're trading 5 good people for 1 bad person. In this situation, you're trading 5
just people,
random people for 1 random person.
Right. So that's probably, we could say, the only main difference.
Okay. I would say let's help out the greater good.
Okay. Now, what about not flipping the switch? That's also an option, right? Just letting
all 5 die.
Right.
Well,
is there anything inherently wrong with just
the difference there is you're not,
so you don't want to be
you're not involved, right?
Some people
you're taking yourself out of the situation.
Right. Some people would feel like, hey, even if I flip the switch, I would feel absolutely horrible. I couldn't sleep at night. I'd feel guilty. You know, I killed a human being. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So
that would be part of God's master plan, would have been to have the 5 die.
Right. Letting nature take its course. I don't want to interfere. You know, the expression, I would be playing God.
Yes. So you'd be utilizing your free will to make a trade-off between 5 and 1 person.
Right.
And I think...
so would you feel guilty?
And then the other question is, do you even have a free will, right?
Right, so that's... Right, and what does Krauss say about that? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
I don't know. But
there's no such thing as a free will.
He doesn't
that's what Krauss is. Deterministic. The universe is deterministic.
He makes the bold claim that that's absolutely illusion. It's an illusion.
So if you do even pull that switch, that means that was part of God's master plan.
Right, so I think either way, whether you pull the switch or not, you could argue that given that God is omnipotent, all-knowing, and so on and so forth, either way, it was all destined.
Yeah, so he either instructed you to pull the switch or instructed you not to, and you're not even aware of that.
Right, so no matter what you choose in the end, it was fulfilling God's divine master plan. It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Meant to be.
So I figured, all right, well, 5 human lives is better than 1. Mm-hmm. No matter how I act, it's fulfilling the master plan of God. So there you go.
And then you could also go back to the Christian, and the stout Christian would say every human life is valuable, intrinsically valuable. So there's no trade-off. You shouldn't be trading 1 life for 5 lives. Let it be, and don't intrude upon God's master plan. Right. I think the stout Christian would think we do have a free will.
Mm-hmm. Right. So you have to make compatible the two apparently contradictory philosophical theses. So you have an all-knowing God, and then you have free will. But if God knows all how you will act, the grand scheme of things, then free will seems superfluous, seems irrelevant. It seems, what's the point?
And even once you're there on that track about to switch it, you decide here, just talking in a separate room, kind of removed from the situation, you might not act how you decide, removed from the situation, because it's probably tough to actually go and take a human life.
Right. And that's probably why I wouldn't flip the switch. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, would you want to, though? That's the question.
Would I want to flip the switch?
Yeah.
If I considering there's 5 people and 1?
Say you had the cojones to
so assuming I did, I wouldn't worry. Assuming I wouldn't be all Woody Allen and
neurotic and should I do that? No,
I'm gonna feel guilty. And
then nothing happens anyway.
Then if I had the cojones, the philosophical cojones, I would probably reason the same way.
Not to make the trade-off. Let the 5 go. Let them go.
Let them go, as in,
kill them. Let them die.
No, I would switch. I would flip the switch.
Switch it.
Yeah, if I had the cojones.
Okay.
If I was not neurotic and I wouldn't feel guilty and suffer eternally, or
so it takes a certain type of person to.
I think so. To
decide that. To take a person's life.
What if? Okay, let's tweak the moral thought experiment. What if the one person is your brother?
Probably couldn't do that.
And then you got 5 strangers.
Yeah. Wouldn't be able to do it.
And
let the 5 die. Let them burn.
Okay, so then we seem to discover
there's a bias.
Right. So the biased behavior or emotional ties to family members seems to play an important key factor in how we make moral decisions. Right. So
now there are people out there who realize, you know what, it is my brother, but this does help 5 other people survive for the greater good. So I'm sorry, brother, but gotta go.
You must really hate your brother.
No, I mean there might be a person out there,
right,
that would make that decision.
Yeah. All right, let's move on with the last moral thought experiment, which is just a modern.
One other thing,
right.
Maybe this is a little advertisement for American Sniper, but not sure if you watched that movie.
No, I have not.
But if you can imagine, he's a sniper, so he has to decide, make a decision last second as to whether he should kill somebody or not. There's a couple scenes where he's not sure if this person has a grenade in their hand, is about to throw it, on the American soldiers. So he has to decide real quick. I think he's going to throw it. I'm not sure if he's going to throw it, or is he faking it? So he's got to decide right then and there.
And don't tell me what happens, because I want to see the film.
Yeah, it's a good movie, but that's the type of decision. It's a split-second decision. If you've been in that situation, if you've been in wars or on deployments, you get used to it, right? Especially somebody like a sniper.
No, by used to it, do you mean you become numb?
Right.
To
you become numb to it. But anyways,
don't tell me the ending, so I should see it then.
Yeah, somebody in the military sort of becomes numb to one.
Now, was he numb prior to the scenario you set up, or he becomes numb after?
In the movie, it starts out he's already
numb at that point.
Yeah, at that point. Yeah.
All right.
That's all I'll give away.
Okay. On a scale from 1 to 10, how was the movie? How would you rate the movie, American Sniper?
It's an 8.
8?
8.
In terms of philosophical significance and impactfulness,
yeah,
how would you?
Maybe 8, 8.5.
Okay. No. All right. Last thought experiment. This is called The Fat Man. This is taken from John Perry's Introduction to Philosophy, Classical and Contemporary Readings. You're standing on a bridge, watching a trolley hurtling down the tracks below you toward 5 innocent persons. The brakes have failed, and the only way you can stop the train is to impede its progress by throwing a heavy object in its path. There is a fat man standing on the bridge next to you, and you could push him over the railing and onto the tracks below. If you do, the fat man will die, but the 5 will be saved. Now, you can even imagine that you wouldn't need to push the fat man to get him to topple. Perhaps he is peering over the hand railing, watching the lamentable scenario below, and you can simply wobble the handrail. What should you do?
All these scenarios sound very similar to me, but
there is a subtle difference, I think, and we'll get to that soon. But first, so you and the fat man are next to each other, and you noticed that the railing can easily be wobbled, which would topple him over, the fat whale.
And because he's fat, then he would be able to save or prevent because of his size.
Right, because he's so big, we're assuming that it would
the trolley
stop the trolley from
but
hitting
that
these
is,
5.
You got to establish that assumption, because maybe even a large person wouldn't prevent a 10-ton trolley.
A trolley, so think of it, it's not a huge, train,
so
freight
assume,
train.
Right.
This is
Let's assume the man is as large as the trolley.
Okay.
Is that
so
big?
like a Mr. Rogers trolley?
Yeah.
And it's playing that song.
Yeah, so, okay.
And the 5 people will be murdered or killed by this little or big fat trolley. All you had to do is wobble the rail. Would you do it?
So I think the difference here is that it's pretty easy to. Well, no, in the Switch it was easy.
You're pretty close to the Switch. So,
yeah, that was easy. But this is just actually you're making more of an effort on the wobble, aren't you, than the Switch?
Well, let's say your hands are already on the Switch, or you have to run to the Switch.
Okay.
All right. Maybe you have to run several. Yeah.
Right.
But
But
you have
in
to
this
run. But in this
situation,
case,
your
you're
hand is
right
on the
You're
railing.
right next to this fat guy, and your hands on the rail.
And you just kind of shake it a little
Just
bit.
got to shake it, and you know that because he's so fat and he's leaning towards the edge anyway, he's gonna fall over. And let's assume it will land successfully.
What if I'm also fat?
Then you guys would have to wrestle and sumo wrestle on the rail. We just offended some sumo wrestlers. Sorry about that.
So all right, but okay.
So to wobble or not to wobble? That is the wobbling question.
I think we already established that I'm for the greater good. So
Really?
try to
You would wobble the
a little
whale?
bit.
Wobble the whale?
No, I mean personally, I couldn't take a life on my own.
Right.
That's how I feel my free will
Okay.
is. But should I? Yeah, probably should make the sacrifice.
Really? But doesn't the fat guy, doesn't he have, let's say, the right not to be killed? Right? Aren't you violating some right of his?
Same with the so we're saying the ex-convict doesn't have the convict doesn't have the right to live?
Are we going back to the organ donor?
Because again, these are similar, going back to the organ donor.
Subtly different. Now, let's go back to the second trolley problem earlier.
Train.
Where the switch.
With the train, right?
Right. Would you say that the one person that you're going to kill has a right not to be killed?
Yes.
Do you think he has more of a right not to be killed in comparison with the 5 people? Or do you think the 6 people total altogether equally have no more, no less right not to be killed?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think at that point you're judging, hey, these 5 people have more of a right to live and this person has less. I think at that point in the situation, you judge each equally having the right to live. And you don't want anyone to die, but you're thinking, well, shoot, there's 5 people and there's one person here and I want to maximize the greater good. But in the fat man case, notice he has a right not to be pushed over, right? You would be strictly using this guy only as a means to achieve some good end, right? You would be doing something wrong. You would be violating some kind of moral principle, much less his right to live. So, and also notice you kind of have this intent to do harm to this fat guy. You have this intent to do wrong or an injustice to this fat man. Whereas in the previous trolley case, you didn't really have the desire or intent to harm the single individual in that one track.
I mean, I think you could look at it either way. I mean,
Do
you know that the single person is going to die.
Right, but do you have the intention to do harm to him? Are you thinking, I want to murder this guy. I want to kill him when you flip the switch. Are you thinking I want to hurt him?
No.
Whereas in the fat man case, you do. Right? When you're wobbling the rail, you're thinking.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
What's the reason why I'm wobbling the rail?
To save the 5 people.
Right. It's not to hurt him.
Okay, so you don't think there's a difference between the fat man and the...
There is the subtle difference. You are pushing him. It's more of an act. and that's why we're talking about it. Is it more an effort to switch the train switch or to wobble the railing?
Right. Do you have more of an intent? Do you have an intent to do harm in one case as opposed to the other? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Now, assuming that you do, then it would probably be wrong to either flip the switch or push the fat man over. So would we agree that...
Yeah, I'd say if your intent was to do harm, if you didn't like the fat guy, if you knew the fat guy and it's time for this whale to go.
Time for him to be extinct.
Yeah. But I don't think it says that in the story.
No.
In the scenario.
Nope.
So I don't think there's too much of a difference there.
Okay. Now, I think the whole point of these 3 thought experiments is to illustrate that, at least considering utilitarianism as a moral theory, that sometimes just because an act maximizes happiness, it doesn't follow that the act is morally right. Right? There might be something else that we're missing. There's could be something more to morality than simply promoting the greater good. Right? So, for example, never intending to do harm to another innocent human being, or to at least recognize and respect the fundamental rights of persons, right? And not to violate those rights. So you shouldn't do that just to promote happiness for
and I think good. Again, you're going back to where with the fat man, you're injecting yourself into the process, right?
Right.
You're not. You could be removed from it if you don't.
Right. You could just run away.
Right.
Right. You could just.
But then you could argue, well, that's doing something wrong.
Right. I mean, suppose you witness someone choking on a turkey bone, and that was inseminated. Now, suppose someone's choking on a turkey bone, and you don't know how to perform the Heimlich maneuver. And suppose you're the only one in the room. Your cell phone's broken, doesn't work, bad reception or battery's dead, and you're thinking, shit, I'm probably going to do more harm than good if I interfere. Now, so what should you do? Should you just stand there and watch and not do anything? Or,
Yeah.
Now, what's worse? Standing and watching and most likely seeing him die, or
making an attempt to save his life, right?
Which might make it worse. Or you might crack his ribs and paralyze him for life. I mean, you did save his life, but maybe...
Yeah, maybe you're not trained in the Heimlich.
Right.
So,
or maybe you just forgot, or you're really bad at it.
That's being like a Woody Allen, though. Being real neurotic. I mean, if you were to grab your cojones and you'd say, I don't even know the Heimlich, but I'm going to try this mother effer's life here. And let's see what I can do. If I lodge it further into his chest cavity, then, sorry, my bad, but at least I tried.
Right.
Wasn't there... Seinfeld did this, right?
Really?
Newman and Seinfeld, they were at the pool. The pool boy was drowning.
Okay.
And came out of the pool, but he needed to be resuscitated. Newman and Jerry were kind of looking at each other. Newman pulled him out or something. I can't remember who pulled him out, but they just couldn't decide to
breathe into his mouth.
Just didn't want to do it. So eventually, the paramedics came and he survived, but neither of
them did anything morally worthy or good or praiseworthy.
Yeah, but at least they didn't inject themselves in the process. But
see, the thing is, they actually knew how to do it, right? They knew how to do CPR. So that's different. That's worse because they had knowledge, the ability to save someone's life, versus the Heimlich maneuver. We're assuming you don't know jack shit. You don't know how to do it.
Maybe, yeah.
And we're saying, well, if we don't do anything, is that just as wrong as, say someone wanting to murder somebody? not doing anything. But,
so there are those subtle differences, I suppose.
Yes. I have to watch that Seinfeld episode now.
You got to watch American Sniper, and now that Seinfeld Pool Boy
I don't
episode.
remember that one. Was it early or later or middle?
I can't. Yeah, in the middle.
All right, Newman. Well, that was a fruitful moral discussion. And we are going to sign off.
Do we have your signature sign off yet?
Signature sign off? Is it the meow?
Meow's more of what a cat would do when they're signing off.
Okay, so let's decide one right now then.
So here's to ASP Radio signing off.
So here's to ASP Stuff Radio signing off. It's too wet noodly.
Let's be creative.
Yep. Meow.
That's extremely
lame.
Creative. Well, we should just email or ask Hideko or Gita to come up with a suggestion.
Yeah, so please email aspstuffradio@gmail.com or send us a tweet about what you think our signature signal sign-off should be. And if you have any questions, thoughts, comments on these 3 moral thought experiments, please let us know your ideas.
Sounds like Jar Jar Binks.
All right. So we'll see you, World of Indonesia, next year in 2016.
All right. Have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. Meow.